Hello D1 and welcome back to one of our pictorials. So we are going to be talking about the rainforest biome today, and looking at just the name rainforest by itself, we can already make predictions or inferences about what the climate's going to be like. But first things first, let's go ahead and talk about location. So you can see I already started over here. We are primarily going to find the rainforest here in Central America, as well as parts of South America, Africa, as well as parts of Asia. And when we are looking at the location, we're going to see that most of the rainforests are going to be located here near the equator. Now, the equator is if we were like to split the Earth in half, that's where the equator would be, because since this is where it's closest to the Earth's core, we're going to see that it gets pretty warm over here. And we'll talk about that now looking at our climate. So now that we know that our location is primarily near the equator, we are going to see that our climate is going to show exactly what it's like when we are near that equator. First things first, as I mentioned, looking at the name rainforest, we can make predictions or inferences about what it's going to be like. And if you said that you think there's going to be rain, or you made an inference that there's going to be a lot of rain, you would be correct. Here in the rainforest, it rains quite a bit. And so it rains this means more than, greater than 90 days a year. That is a lot. For 365 days a year, 90 of those days have rain. At least 90 of those days, but it's typically more than 90. Since we are really close to the equator, meaning that's where, again, we're closest to the Earth's core, it's going to be warm there, making it humid because of all the condensation and the rain. It gets really humid, meaning it's kind of sticky almost. When you walk outside, it's warm, but you still feel a little moist. You don't feel dry like you would in the desert because there is water present. Also, talking about rain, a little fact is a lot of the rain doesn't even hit the floor of the rainforest. Rain does not hit the floor. And that is because of the canopy, and we'll talk about the canopy a little bit more, but the canopy is mostly trees, and it has a lot of leaves, and so it kind of creates this natural barrier that stops things from coming through, including rain. And so a lot of it is stopped by those leaves, and it falls on trees rather than hitting the actual floor of the rainforest. On average, remember, this means it is about 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and it never really goes below 64 degrees. So again, you can see it's pretty warm here in the rainforest. It's not super hot like we would see in the desert, but it is still pretty warm. And our annual, meaning yearly, rainfall ends up being about 5 feet, or 60 inches. So that means out of the entire year, we're going to have about 5 feet of rain in total covering the rainforest. And when we do the math talking about this annual rainfall, we're going to see that there's about 4 inches per month. So throughout the year, the rainforest is getting lots of rain to support its plants and vegetation, as well as its just overall habitat. Now that we've looked at our climate for the rainforest, let's go ahead now. Let's look at some of our plants and vegetation. So we're gonna see that here in the rainforest, it's primarily going to be trees, shrubs, and tree trunks. There's really primarily just trees here in the rainforest. Of course, there are other plants and vegetation that do exist, but if you were to walk in the rainforest, you would primarily see those trees, and so that is going to be taking up most of that space here in this biome. Now looking at the layers, and we're going to look at the layers and talk about how it relates to plants and animals and all that good stuff. But now when we look at the layers, there's going to be primarily 4 layers. And so we have the floor of the rainforest. We have the understory. We have the canopy. And we have the emergent. And these are going to be our 4 primary layers. And so this is going to be our very bottom layer. Our understory is going to be about 60 feet above the floor, so we're going to see this a little bit higher up. Our canopy is going to be considered the top layer, but here we're going to see our emergent layer is going to be the top layer. And this is where the sunshine is going to hit the most. And so when we're looking at these different layers, we're going to see different plants and vegetation that are going to make up these areas. So here on the floor, there's not a lot of sunshine. So not a lot of sunshine, which means that these plants have to adapt. So these plants, they're not like usual plants that require a lot of sunlight and water. Since water and sunshine are not really hitting the floor, these plants have to adapt to little water and little sunshine. Looking at our understory, we're going to see that these are primarily small trees. There's tree trunks. And as we had previously mentioned when we talked about all the plants and vegetation, there are also shrubs. Here in our canopy, we're going to see, again, mostly trees, really high up in the rainforest. Alrighty, now let's go ahead, let's look at our animals. So 90% of the animals here in the rainforest live in the canopy, which is going to be this again, where we talked about kind of this top layer that is primarily trees. This is where we're going to find 90% of our animals. Additionally, those animals that we're going to see in the canopy, those are going to be animals that we see primarily in trees. Uh-oh, my camera. There it is. So we're going to primarily see animals that are in trees. So we see toucans, monkeys, sloths, right? And so again, lots of life is here in the canopy. Looking at our other layers, our emergent layer, we will also see kind of animals that like to climb. So we're going to see monkeys again, we'll see macaws, birds, animals that can fly as well as climb. Again, those are going to be up here in the emergent layer. When we look at the understory, these are going to be animals as well as the floor. These are going to be kind of animals that hang down low and do not climb as much. So we'll see frogs, we'll see snakes, we'll see jaguars, big jungle cats, leopards. We may see some butterflies. We'll see some other types of insects like beetles and ants. Alrighty, now looking at some of our interesting facts for the rainforest. We know that the largest rainforest is the Amazon rainforest. And additionally, 50% of all plants and animals live in the rainforest. So again, that is a big portion of all of the plants and animals to just be located primarily in one biome. And so you're going to see that this is it for our rainforest. So go ahead and make sure you complete your quick check. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day, D1.